So many women today are running on caffeine, adrenaline, and packed schedules, yet still feel empty, restless, or stuck. We're busy, but are we purposeful? In this episode, we're going to talk about the difference between living a caffeinated life and living a purpose-driven life. The difference between surviving your day and being deeply aligned with why God designed you. Because it's not enough to be busy. The real question is, what are you busy about? I'm Pamela J. Vincent, and this is Caffeinated or Called, where we slow down, listen closely, and choose to live awake, aligned, and on purpose. You know, most women I know aren't lazy. They're exhausted. They're getting up early, showing up for everyone else, juggling responsibilities, and pushing through on caffeine and sheer willpower. From the outside, their lives look full, productive, even successful. But underneath the busyness, there's a quiet question that keeps surfacing in the still moments. Is this really what I'm here for? We've learned how to stay energized, but we haven't always learned how to stay aligned. So we trade rest for urgency, depth for speed, and purpose for productivity. We live caffeinated lives, alert, reactive, always on, yet somehow disconnected from the deeper calling God placed inside us. And the tensions we feel isn't a failure, it's an invitation to slow down and ask a better question. What am I actually being called to build in my life? There was a time when I thought that if I worked harder, longer, faster, I could help our family win the financial game and ease my husband's burden. I studied and earned my insurance licenses and set about selling life, health, and long-term care insurance. I really enjoyed it. But because my husband was working, I left the two youngest with a friend we completely trusted for care for them. Previously, I had spent hours on the local high school track running behind our son's bicycle because at 5, he felt he should ride it without the training wheels. You know the scenario. I held on to the back of the bike to keep him up while he pedaled, learning to balance. He was getting it, but we weren't successful that day. Fast forward, I was making my mark in the insurance world and scored several sales. I bought pizza on the way home. I was excited to celebrate with the kids. And as I drove down our driveway, our son was confidently riding his bike without the training wheels and rode past me yelling, "Look, Mom, look what the babysitter taught me." My heart sank. It ached. I had missed a milestone celebration. Now, some of you might not think that this is a big deal, but I did. In another instance, I worked with several clients for weeks on the need for critical illness policies since they were the core of their business's operations. I had run into the office to submit more policies before the year's end when I was called into the boss's office. While waiting for him to get off the phone, I noticed it was lightly snowing outside. While mesmerized at the beauty of the white puffs, my boss handed me a huge bonus check and said, "Merry Christmas." I had been working so hard for the status and the income that I'd failed until that moment to realize it was Christmas Eve and I was missing the evening's festivities. But I held this huge check in my hands. Suddenly, the money just didn't seem to equalize what I was sacrificing with my family. You know, Scripture reminds us that purpose doesn't come from speed or pressure. It comes from presence. Psalms 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Stillness isn't inactivity, it's alignment. It's the moment we stop numbing the restlessness with noise and busyness and begin listening for God's direction again. Purpose is rarely revealed in the rush. It's often clarified when we slow down enough to hear what God has been whispering to us all along. You know, you've heard it before. That little voice inside that keeps nagging at us and we don't make a move on it. Jesus himself modeled this kind of purposeful living. In Mark 1:35, we're told that very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Even with urgent needs all around him, Jesus chose alignment over adrenaline. He didn't let demand dictate direction, and neither should we. When we live connected to God instead of constantly reacting to life, we begin to shift from surviving our days to stewarding them with intention. Here are a couple of practical takeaways that you can do today. You know me, I always want us to have something we can put our hands on and do this afternoon. Number 1, pause before you power up. Before caffeine, email, or scrolling, take 2 minutes of stillness. Ask God one simple question. What matters most today? Alignment at the start of the day changes everything that follows. Number 2, identify one busy drain. Notice one activity that consumes energy but produces very little fruit. It might be over-explaining, over-volunteering, or over-committing. Purpose often grows when we subtract, not add. Number 3, create one sacred margin. Block out 10 or 15 minutes today. No noise, no productivity goal, no fixing. Read a verse, journal a prayer, or simply sit. Purpose deepens in the margins. And for heaven's sakes, turn our phones off. The world will survive without us for 15 minutes. Number 4, choose one purpose-aligned yes. Do one thing today that reflects who you believe God is shaping you to become, not who everyone else expects you to be. Small, aligned steps build courageous lives. So are we busy with the right things? You know, in Ecclesiastes 3:1, it says there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Being busy isn't necessarily bad, but there's a fine line between productivity and overload. Here's a breakdown of the good and the bad of being too busy. The good says when it's used wisely, there's a full schedule can lead to meaningful achievements in work, family, and ministry. A busy life, intentionally filled with acts of service, can demonstrate Christ's love. Staying active challenges you to develop new skills and deepen your faith. Good use of your time can honor God. Being engaged can help prevent stagnation in our own lives. Now, the bad of being busy is that, if we neglect rest and Sabbath, there's constant busyness can lead to exhaustion. We've all been there. It can lead to strained relationships. When we're too busy, time with our family, friends, and God can suffer. Losing focus on priorities. Busyness doesn't always mean productivity. It's easy to focus on less important tasks and neglect what truly matters. The bad can be burnout and stress. A life without balance leads to physical, emotional, and spiritual burnout. And mistaken activities for fruitfulness. This one's scary. Being busy doesn't always mean you're bearing spiritual fruit. Managing time effectively requires intentional planning, prioritization, gotta put my teeth in, and flexibility. Here's a biblical and practical approach to time management that helps you stay productive while maintaining balance. So, number 1, prioritize God first. Start your day with prayer and scripture. This centers your mind on God's priorities rather than just your to-do list. I don't care if you read one verse in the Bible. God will use that somewhere during your day to mean something to you or to the people around you, but he will use it. One verse. I've had this happen so many times I can't even count. Ask for wisdom in managing your time before you start your day. It's a good idea to do it before your feet hit the floor in the morning, because most of us women, once our feet hit the floor, we're off and running for the day. Set goals, clear goals, and priorities. There's this system that I try to remember to use. Urgent and important. Do these things first. Important but not urgent, schedule them. Urgent but not important, delegate them. And if it's neither urgent or important, eliminate them. They're just a waste of time for you. Number 3, plan with wisdom and diligence. Use a planner, a calendar, or digital tools to organize your task. We tell Alexa all the time what it is we want her to do. I live by a calendar next to my desk with every event for every person in the household is on there. Block time for essential tasks like work, family, church, and rest. Look for a schedule. I keep a schedule that tells me, like if I have to run to the grocery store and I'm only going to be there 30 minutes. It's not really just 30 minutes. It's the 20-minute drive to get there, the 20-minute drive home. So it's really a lot longer than 30 minutes. Plan buffer time to handle interruptions gracefully. Now, number 4 is steward your time like a resource. I thought this one really hit me the most when I was writing it down. We need to guard against distractions like social media, excessive TV, and unnecessary tasks. This summer, I decided not to watch television because there's nothing on in the summertime anyway but reruns. And I wrote 5 books. They're devotionals. In fact, if you're interested, you can find them on my website. Set specific work periods, start and stop times, depending on what it is. If you have a home-based business, or if you are just going to do, I don't know, laundry or bill time or something like that. Because, when you sit down to pay bills, sometimes that little task can end up taking over 3 hours. Schedule it and then stick to the schedule. Say no to things that don't align with God's purpose for you. Once you know what your purpose is, you know what your spiritual gifting is, stay in your lane. And then say no to the things that are not designed for you. It's hard at first. We're the hardest people to train because we're used to doing everything. Balance. Number 5 is balance work and rest. Schedule rest and recreation to avoid burnout. I've said this for many years, if you've listened to my podcast, that I work very hard Monday through Thursday, but on Friday I play. I meet a girlfriend at 1 o'clock and we play. We never know what we're going to do. We do know it involves Diet Coke and chocolate. Or if she's calling the shots that day, French fries. And we play. Sometimes we wander garden places. Sometimes we go to antique stores, junk stores. We really like the old junk stores that, you can get a treasure for $1. Sometimes we just sit in the car and talk because we just need a break away from the regular schedule that we have in our lives that are very busy. Embrace grace. Every day won't be perfectly productive, and that's okay. Be graceful with yourself. Prioritize family and relationships. They are part of your calling. If you lose your witness to the people closest in your circle, you've lost. Don't lose. I've seen this happen so many times where, I hate to say it like this, but pastors lose their kids because they're so busy. Or somebody that is so involved in ministry that their kids turn away from the Lord. Don't lose those relationships. Be flexible, number 6, and trust God's leading. Unexpected things will happen. Adjust with faith and wisdom, and allow room for God to redirect your plans. So, I have a reflection question. You guys know me. I'm always going to do something like that. Ask yourself, where in my life am I running on urgency instead of calling? And what might God be inviting me to release so that I can live more aligned with Him? Just going to sit with that for a second. I'm going to say it one more time. Where in my life am I running on urgency instead of calling? And what might God be inviting me to release so that I can live more aligned with Him? If this episode resonated with you, don't rush past it. Let it linger. Share it with a friend who's tired of running on fumes, and give yourself permission to slow down long enough to listen for what truly matters. And remember, if you're questioning your direction, your pace, or your purpose, you're not failing. You're growing. You're leaning into yourself, and you're becoming all that you were created to be. I'm Pamela J. Vincent, and this is I Have Your Back, because you were never meant to figure this out alone. For more podcasts, blogs, and exploring our catalog of devotionals, go to ihaveyourback.com. Friends, may you walk forward today with clarity instead of pressure, courage instead of hurry, and peace that reminds you you are seen, supported, and called, one faithful step at a time.